Grayson Baptist Church, 120. Shady Grove School, 126. Boonville Municipal, 130. Prospect Church, 136. 137. Revival Church. Okay, so this is heading north. This is Logan County. Here's Scott County circulation now. If there is a tornado on the ground, it's probably just north of the county line. Again, I always remind you, we're getting a little bit of a delayed picture here, right? It takes a couple minutes for the scan to go out there, give us that information, that picture, and send it back to us. Steven, if you can we just put this in a little bit of motion here? We can get rid of this, and let's just kind of get what the last couple of scans look like and see exactly how this thing is moving. Is it moving more due north? Is it northeast? It's very rapid there. You may have to pause it and just scan it back once or twice kind of on your own there. All right, yeah, so you can see how quickly, that's where we got the warning, real tighter circulation there, and then quickly moving off towards the north. We can put the CC on. Let's go ahead and see if we have any debris maybe showing up a little bit, and you might have to help me out and put this in motion a little bit too. Is this the original when the warning came out? It's a little noisy. That's current, and our circulation, I believe, is up here. So this is technology that we can use. We're using the radar, as many tools as we have, to see not only where the winds are, and where potential hail cores are at times, but also where is the tornado. This is going to be it right here. This is where we have our circulation. That's our notch. That's our hook right there. And this is where we have strong, warm, moist air coming in. That's your inflow. And then you have your outflow on the backside. And this is where we're going to have that rotation, likely going just to the east of Golden City. Grayson, if you're in these two areas, go ahead and go into your tornado safe place, because this circulation is very close, very, very close to you, and this can jog a little east, a little west quickly here. Looking like the circulation is going to go just to the west of Grayson. It's moving off towards the north. Do we have the speed on this, guys? 25 miles per hour. So tornado warning, Logan County. It's still got Skot County here, but I think the circulation, there you have it. Circulation is now in Logan County. Boonville, let's go ahead and get in our safe place. This storm is moving towards you. It's over top of you now. You got the rain, the lightning, the winds. The circulation is to your south-southeast. Moving northeast around 25 miles per hour. Here are all the locations in the path of this tornado-warned storm. 1:40 p.m. Barn Hill Church, Driggs, 1:43 p.m. Carbon City, 151, Paris, 154. If it holds together, this is where it's heading. Good news is, again, as we mentioned, this one's only heading off towards the north-northeast around 25 miles per hour right now. That's slow for us, so we're trying to give you as much heads up as possible. Well-defined signature right there. And guys, as soon as y'all get your mics on, please feel free to jump in here as well. Heading towards Magazine, I think the circulation looks like it's going to stay to the east of Boonville. Highway 109, if you're in this area, Highway 110, you live, work along this stretch of highway for you, you're going to want to go ahead, get into a safe place. If you know someone that's at home in Logan County, in between Boonville, Magazine, Blue Mountain, let's go ahead and tell them to make sure that they're in their safe place. There's that area of circulation. If we have a tornado on the ground, it is right there to the southeast of Boonville. It's heading off towards the northeast around 25 miles per hour. Do we have anything showing up on the CC yet?
There was a little bit of a signal on the early portions of that warning. In fact, if you look, that's current. You can take it back a few scans, and it does show perhaps when they first issued that warning, perhaps there was a brief spin up there just south of the Logan-Scott County line.
And that doesn't mean that this was a strong tornado. You got to think of what time we're in, too, where we've got a lot of leaves that have been falling off the trees. So certainly even a weak tornado could pick up a bunch of leaves, a bunch of debris like that, and then the radar would pick up on that. So again, we have Chief Meteorologist Skot Covert here. We're tracking this tornado-warned storm through Logan County, heading off towards the northeast. Scott, you have any new information?
No new information right now. Weather Service out of Little Rock is responsible for this specific warning, and they noted that they watched a couple of areas of rotation, a couple of scans, decided the environment in of itself is already so favorable for the development of tornadoes. They didn't want to risk it, went ahead and issued the warning. Continues to show that sign of rotation there. It looks to be maintaining itself, not necessarily strengthening or weakening, but just maintaining itself as it continues to lift towards the northeast. Paris Paris not currently included in that tornado warning, but folks in Paris, my recommendation, our recommendation to you, you might as well go ahead and consider yourself in the warning, just given the trajectory of that storm. Should it maintain its current track in that path, it could be putting it in your backyard here real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Fort Smith, top left of the corner up there of your TV. This is what the whole area looks like. Isolated thunderstorms. This is not the main show. It's just a very unstable environment. We've got a lot more energy out towards the west, a line of storms firing up in eastern Oklahoma now. We have to watch that later on, and any isolated thunderstorm out ahead of it will be capable of spinning today. Damaging wind gusts and isolated tornadoes are our top threats. That's why we issued the Weather Impact Alert Day. Storm Prediction Center highlighting the area in a level 3 of 5 risk, meaning we know we're going to see a few warnings today. We've got to watch every single storm. All of 5 country in that level 3 risk here today. We even had a brief tornado on radar here earlier this morning, leaving Johnson County into Newton County. Similar situation, quick spin up of those storms and then weakened as it went on to the north. This is something we could see with some of these other thunderstorms. We could see that rotation really tighten up.
This is, of course, that one supercell that we've got tornado warned at the moment. But Zach, some inside baseball. We're getting word from the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman. They're giving it an 80% chance that they're going to have to issue a watch soon for a large majority of our area. That's not necessarily a surprise, given what we knew about going into today. But I think the key takeaway is, as we're already seeing rotation develop in these individual discrete supercells ahead of the main show that's still a few hours to our west, I think that it just speaks to the volatility of the atmosphere that we're going to be looking at for the next several hours.
Yeah, absolutely. All of eastern Oklahoma is in a tornado watch now. And what typically happens is they issue those watches closest to where the activity is really blowing up in that moment. And then they'll go ahead and do what they call downstream watches and warnings. In this situation, and what Scott's saying is the thunderstorm activity way out ahead of it, already enough where we're probably just going to get that watch a little earlier, which is fine. We want as many watches, warnings, alerts as possible to get people ready for storms today are going to have the potential to be strong, severe, damaging hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes. There's our circulation. It's there.
It's weaker.
It's weaker. But it's certainly holding together. Storm cycle, we've watched plenty of these. We see them cycle at any moment. That next scan could come in, and it's a little tighter. How quick did it move through? That 25 miles per hour, again, doesn't seem too fast. Just a couple scans ago, it was just to the southwest of Grayson. Now that circulation with the new scan is moving a little bit closer to Highway 217. Again, looking like on this path, the rotation will stay a little to the east of Boonville, but could be moving over the Magazine area, and then potentially, if everything holds together, getting pretty close to the Paris area as well. We've got other isolated showers and thunderstorms, but we don't have any other warnings right now.
Zach, that warning has been allowed to expire. Weather Service out of Little Rock saying the rotation, as we noted, has been weakening. At the moment, it does not present an imminent threat of producing a tornado there in Logan County. It's also important to note that we're going to have to watch this cell. There is still a little bit of rotation there. The storm is moving into an environment that is favorable for the quick development of tornadoes. You've got other isolated cells out there. So while right now, folks in Logan County, Skot County, we can give you the tentative all clear. You can stand down. You can resume whatever else you were doing this afternoon. But you got to stay weather aware for the next several hours. We anticipate some watches, tornado watches likely being issued, and we suspect at least a few more tornado warnings before the night's over with, not only with these isolated discrete supercells that are passing through the area, but of course with the main line of storms that's right now moving through parts of central Oklahoma. Right now, though, key takeaway is first tornado warning of the day, didn't last long, quickly spun up. Thankfully, it has weakened at the moment. Still some level of rotation just to the south of Highway 10. If you live anywhere between Magazine and Boonville along Highway 10, that rotation is just to your south. Should be passing Highway 10 probably in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. Yep. All right, everybody, still on our Facebook Live and on 5 Plus. Meteorologist Skot Covert here, working alongside Zac Scott and Stephen Elmore this afternoon. It's probably going to be a pretty active day. In fact, folks, I'll walk over to the wall if you want to just leave that up, and I'll let Zac drive the radar for just a few minutes. Look, we've gotten messages all morning long. Last night, into the morning hours, a lot of folks have some anxiety, a little bit of concern about what the day is going to have. And I'll be quite honest with you, we share that anxiety with you, but we're going to walk you through every single storm and every critical moment, help us get through it, and by the end of the day, hopefully we can have some quieter weather. Things are starting to change pretty rapidly. We've entered into that afternoon window where we expected things were going to start to fire off, and that's what's happening, perhaps even a little bit earlier. We have one tornado watch in effect for all of eastern Oklahoma. That's here in yellow. We're going to have more. In fact, 80% chance, according to the Storm Prediction Center. That's out of Norman, who's analyzing the environment, saying, okay, it's about to go. So we'd expect more watches to be issued here real shortly. If you want to download our app on your phones, it's for free, of course. As soon as that watch is issued, it's going to send you a mobile notification. We'll post it on Facebook, we'll post it on 5newsonline.com, and of course, it's going to scroll at the bottom of your television screen all afternoon. When a warning is issued, we're going to fire this stream back up. We're going to jump in on television as well, and we'll give you that life-saving information as best we can. It's pretty scattered activity out there right now. One of the things that Zac and Stephen and I were looking at just a few moments ago and having a growing sense of concern for is the fact that there's not a lot going on here in eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas. In fact, that lack of what we call convection or rain or thunderstorms has given way to a little bit of sunshine, which might sound kind of like a misnomer, but when we've got clear skies and we've got sunshine, that sun is beaten down in the atmosphere, and that's adding fuel that these thunderstorms need, that they want to tap into. So I think that's going to continue to destabilize the atmosphere going over the next few hours. We've also got a warm front that's been trying to lift through the area. That warm front's pretty much just to the north of I-40, and as that continues to lift towards the north, it's bringing in a whole bunch of rich Gulf of Mexico moisture. Temperatures are getting warmer. The air's thick. Go step outside. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a live look there in Pensacola. You can see you got some blue skies mixing in there. The more blue sky we see, the more storm fuel that we're going to be adding into the atmosphere, and that's not going to be a good thing for us over the next several hours. Thank you for pulling that camera up. Back off towards the west, we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in the Tulsa and Oklahoma City area. Those severe thunderstorm warnings are just that right now, but they have had multiple tornado warnings over the last several hours. This is from our ACHE camera. This is looking from Fort Smith, looking off towards the south and west. So we're looking from here. We're probably looking towards that cell that's moving into parts of southern LaFleur County. Got to watch that closely. Anytime we see a cell out there that might be isolated or discrete, that's out ahead of ahead of the main line by itself, those are the ones you really want to pay attention to. You kind of saw that happen with that cell in Logan County. Zac, are you driving over there? Yes, sir. Zac's driving. If you would, let's just take another look into Logan County. We're here live on streaming, so we don't have any time constraints. I'd like to just double check, make sure that rotation's not coming back up with this specific cell. This was kind of concerning for a lot of folks there in Scott and Logan counties. Happened quickly, but it's kind of a messy cell at this point. It's not as organized as it once was. If there was any rotation, okay, it's really weak. It's pretty much centered, right here, passing just to the south of Highway 10. It's going to move near Magazine here real soon. It's really weak rotation. It's very disorganized. Not anything to necessarily be concerned with, but Zac's backing it up. Look at this couplet. That's what we call it when we get these winds really tightly wound up like this, crossing the Scott into Logan County line. Pretty strong signal of some rotation there. That's of concern, but as we come closer to current time, it really starts to fan out. Those colors aren't as bright, tells us the winds aren't as strong, and it's not as tightly wound up as that's moving across Highway 10 between Boonville and Magazine. That's going to be running almost parallel with 109. Getting a little bit closer to Paris over the next few minutes. We got to watch to see if it doesn't try to pulse back up. Right now, though, it's behaving, and that's the good news for us. Looks like National Weather Service is going to begin their conferencing with the Storm Prediction Center. That's the precursor to some tornado watches that are likely to be issued. So I do suspect we'll have some information on that over the next few minutes. Maybe we can just stay on the stream until we can give folks that information. Sometimes it takes a while, though, so we'll see what we can do for you. Noticed off towards the south of this storm, I know you just bumped back up, sorry. Do you mind just bumping back towards the south? This specific cell, this is not in our viewing area. This is going to pass just to the east of Scott County. A lot of lightning pulsing up with this cell. That's one of those things you look for as a precursor, it tells us there's a pretty strong updraft. Maybe the storm is somewhat healthy. It doesn't really show much signs of organization at the moment, other than the fact that a lot of heavy rains, probably some increase in lightning there, tells us it's trying to strengthen up. That would eventually move to parts of Yell County. Not in our weather coverage area, but certainly something that I point out just to say that the atmosphere overall is going to continue to support these quick development of these thunderstorms. Poto and Heavener, you're for the most part dry right there, but notice back off to your south and west. We do have some activity that's trying to organize, trying to bubble up, and it's doing so pretty quickly. This is, looks like over the last 45 minutes or an hour perhaps, you go from nothing to a little thunder shower there trying to develop just to the south of Heavener, pushing off towards the northeast. That could bring some impacts to the Poto area. Fort Smith eventually probably see some rain out of that. Hopefully that's all we get out of that. Do you mind, Zach, turning on velocity? I'm just curious if there's any rotation within this cell here.
Yeah, absolutely. It does have a strong storm advisory is what we can call it. So for the folks out there, just below severe limits. Being watched, though, for the possibility of winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and pea-sized hail right now, moving northeast around 35 miles per hour. Okay.
Well, yeah, it could be a little, there's actually a couple of areas of concern with that cell, specifically right here. You see those dark greens, those brighter greens right there, maybe almost a blue color, just to the southeast of Big Fork. That's in Polk County. I don't think we have a lot of viewers there here at 5 News. It's not in our coverage area, but it's certainly something we want to pay attention to over the next few hours. What do you say we do an area-wide reset? Let's see, Weather Service went into conference. That was at 1:20, so it's 1:26. I'm not sure we're going to have that watch anytime soon. Just the southwest of McAllister, I should say. Looks like we have a brand new tornado warning. That's eventually going to be passing off towards the north and east as well. Still over an hour away, if not more than that, so not too much of a concern for us. Scattered rain moving through Carroll, Madison counties. You've got some scattered showers and thunderstorms east side of Franklin County. That pushes into Johnson pretty quick. It's getting pretty messy here in Logan County. Nothing severe at the moment, but some scattered showers and thunderstorms. This is really going to be the area we're concerned with. It's pretty much all of eastern Oklahoma, all of west Arkansas. The less rainfall coverage we've got out there, the more storm fuel we're adding into the area, and that's going to be a problem for us going into the next several hours. It looks like we could very well see 2 potential threats this afternoon into this evening. You've got the scattered activity out ahead of it where we get those isolated cells. Those are going to be our first concern. But then we start to turn our attention to what is eventually going to form out into a squall line of thunderstorms back off towards the west. That pushes our direction, and that is also going to exhibit a very damaging wind threat, a very high damaging wind threat, as well as the potential for some tornadoes as well. You talk about the potential for some tornadoes. Zach, if we can go back to the, oh, this is perfect.
Do you want to, I didn't know if you wanted to go into a little image of Futurecast.
Let's walk through Futurecast. A lot of folks have questions about the timing. Loosely, I can tell you afternoon and evening. And look, I wish I could tell you the exact moment we're talking about a warning in your backyard, but this is such a volatile situation that afternoon and evening is when we're really going to want to be on guard. We'll go out a little bit further here.
And I wanted to say this too. What do you think with this particular model, the couple of thunderstorms, not everything's perfect, but picking up on the activity down south of I-40 pretty fairly well, I would say.
I would say that bodes well for this specific model run, pushing towards the north there over the next half hour, 2 hours. And then we start to see some more of these isolated thunderstorms developing, and I really focus in on everything that's out ahead of this main line, back moving through parts of Tulsa. And certainly it starts to congeal into a larger complex of thunderstorms. You know, I do think we're going to have multiple tornado warnings tonight. I'm afraid that it's going to be tough to avoid that without a lot of luck. The other factor is, when I look at something like that, we consider the fact that we've got 3 to 6 inches of rain across a large majority of the area already. This is a lot of rain, and this is going to be moving pretty slowly. So we are going to see flash flooding concerns. On top of the flash flooding that we've already saw this morning, of course, had some impacts to a school in Fort Smith. Of course, you can find more information on that at 5newsonline.com, but I'm afraid we might see more issues of that. This is 10 o'clock tonight, so we're continuing to track storms that are going to have a lot of energy, a lot of fuel available to them to produce these tornadoes, damaging straight line winds. And there could be some pockets of hail. I don't want to rule out the potential for a little bit of hail, but I'll tell you that's probably on the lower end of our risk hazards for this specific setup going into the next several hours. 1 a.m., rain, thunderstorms finally pushing off towards the east, but we still have some scattered showers to begin your Tuesday off towards the southwest. This is 7 o'clock. Maybe some kids might still need the rain gear out there at the bus stop. If you're planning to vote tomorrow, you might want the rain gear, especially if you're voting in the first half of the day. Second half looks to be a little bit more on the dry side. Is as far out as we go?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. What do you say we pull up that Storm Prediction Center Day 1 outlook? This is going to be our level 3 potential for a large majority of us here in Orange. If we were to drill down into this, and I think we do have that triple panel graphic where we can give you the exact specific hazards out there, it's largely driven up to the level 3 due to the potential of tornadoes and damaging straight line winds. So that's going to be tomorrow, Zach.
Sorry, bringing that up.
Oh, good. There's a lot going on all at once out here. So tomorrow we don't have a severe weather event. That's the good news for us out there. Pulling it in right now.
Should be loading. Is it not?
That's tomorrow's.
Okay. Oh,
Try
sorry.
again.
I see what you mean.
Yeah,
okay.
try again.
We're going to get it here. Let's see. Okay. I think I have it here. Here we go. Third time the charm?
Meteorologist Zac Scott
There we go.
is going on hour 12 here at Channel 5. We're going to get that coffee pot of brewing here real quick. So we can break down our hazards overall, the tornado potential here in red, which is our enhanced risk for the potential of tornadoes. A lot of folks ask what these black hash marks mean, and they can be somewhat confusing. So let me try to make it as simple as possible. That's telling us that if a tornado is to develop, the odds are that it's likely going to favor an EF2 or greater, a stronger tornado in that area, as opposed to the often weaker EF0s, EF1s that we see around this part of the area. Here's our hail potential. It's going to be highest in East Oklahoma, West Arkansas. The further east you go, we drop it. And of course, our damaging wind potential, also here in red, that's in the enhanced risk. I'm told we have brand new information on a tornado watch we can pass along. That's what I was waiting on, so I'm happy we were able to get that out. And we can probably wrap things up here
It's going to be uploading soon.
It's coming in now, getting word that it is pushing into the area. Meteorologist Stephen Elmore telling me that his communication with the Weather Service is it'll be for our entire area. So if you live anywhere in Northwest Arkansas, East Oklahoma, River Valley, Ouachitas, 9 p.m. this evening is when that tornado watch is set to expire. We'll see if they don't have to extend it a little bit further off towards the east, or perhaps even a little bit later into the evening, just given the slow progression of these storms. But that at least just gives us some good information right now. We are going to be under a tornado watch until 9 p.m. all across the 5 News viewing area. Hoping it pops in here real soon. Sometimes these data servers on big weather impact days like this get bogged down because there's meteorologists and storm chasers and weather enthusiasts all over the world diving into the data here. And so sometimes when the Weather Service issues a product like a tornado watch, or it takes a second to come into the system here. Thankfully, our warnings don't take that long at all. We can get you those pretty quickly. Stephen, you said that's for the entire area, right? Okay, cool. Excellent. What do you say we take a look at live radar while we're waiting on that to come in? I want to send folks back to their day with that information, so I'm happy to wait until we can get that in here. Not seeing anything of concern right now. That is a pretty strong storm going to be passing just to the east of Skot County. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets warned here real soon, simply just looking at the uptick in lightning. Lightning itself is not a factor when considering if a warning is issued, but it's one of those anecdotal pieces of evidence that it's a pretty strong thunderstorm, and I do see that coming together right there. Tornado warnings to the south of McAllister, not necessarily our viewing area either, but we often look up towards the west. That's where our weather comes from, right? We start to see some of those concerns. Look, there's one just to the northeast of Tulsa, along just west of I-44 there. That's going to be moving into far northeastern Oklahoma, southeastern Kansas over the next few hours.
That storm just to the east of Mena and pushing into far southeastern Scott County, that we talked about a couple minutes ago. Potential up to 40-mile-per-hour gusts. Now the National Weather Service out of Little Rock has upped that. Still below severe limits. Still watching the potential of pea-sized hail, but now we could see up to 50-mile-per-hour gusts with that storm there.
So it is definitely strengthening.
Yep.
No question about that. What about that watch?
See if it is loaded yet. It still doesn't look like it's come through from what I can see here on the chat. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So we're still waiting for them to just push that through.
We're working on it. All of East Oklahoma, of course, under that tornado watch. We're expecting, if you're just not joining us, we're expecting any moment now for that watch or a new watch to be issued that would finally include all of Northwest Arkansas, all of the Arkansas River Valley, all of the Ouachitas. And that's going to be coming up here pretty soon as well.
It says that they're coordinating right now and that they're also going to be trimming some counties on the west side of the watch. So I think with all that, it's what's slowing it down just a little bit.
Yeah, so we got some time here to talk about some inside baseball. If you're a weather weenie like all of us, you might be curious when we talk about these coordination calls. on these high impact days where there's going to be that potential for severe weather, the National Weather Service offices, so we're talking the one out of Tulsa, the one out of Little Rock, Oklahoma City, Norman, they get on a conference with the Storm Prediction Center right there in Norman as well, and they decide who's going to be included in the warning, how long, or the watch, I should say, who's going to be included in the watch, how long it goes, and any of the pertinent details that we find embedded within the watch. And so they're talking it out. They're some of the brightest scientists in the world that are coming together, analyzing the data, and they make a decision, and then they disseminate that information. That's where all these watches originate. So you might see it scrolling on the bottom of your television. You might see it pushed to your cell phones, right? That's the behind-the-scenes look at where that information comes from. Looks like we have a new severe thunderstorm warning just off towards the west. That's going to be just north of I-40. And it does have a bit of an interesting look to it, right? A little bit of a hook echo right there. I wonder, given it's trying to be discreet from the other cells, I wonder what happens with that guy.
Yeah, sometimes just when they break apart like that, we've seen those escalate before. And again, this entire line, as it was taking shape around the I-35 corridor going in and out of Oklahoma City, several tornado warnings have been popping in and out with that line. So this history, the history of this line of storms has certainly had its fair share of warnings with it, a severe or tornado.
You know, I don't want to gatekeep information. I do my best to just to be really transparent with folks. That's what I'm thinking as I'm thinking it. My concern continues to increase based off of the satellite imagery here. These clouds can often help to prevent further destabilization, but without those clouds, the sunshine is breaking through in Benton County, in Adair, in Washington, and parts of Crawford, and Sebastian, and Sequoia, and LaFleur, down into Scott County. Even some clearing here in Franklin. So what I point that out to say this, we're continuing to see the atmosphere here across our neck of the woods destabilize ahead of storms that are developing. So once they develop, or if they pop right here on top of us, they're going to have an environment that's really going to support severe weather, all aspects, from hail to damaging winds to, of course, the potential of some strong tornadoes. Here it is, the much-awaited tornado watch. We have got this watch for all of the area, runs until 9 o'clock this evening. So hope that sheds some light on kind of what we're looking at over the next few hours. There's a lot of anxiety out there, and hey, I get it. We're going to get through it together. It's something we've never done before. We've dealt with these types of events, and we'll do it again tonight. So here's our commitment to you. We're going to have the full team here. We're going to be tracking this very closely, radar scan by radar scan by radar scan. We've got eyes locked on the storms both here in the Weather Center. We're going to have folks, our teams in the field. They're going to be able to pass along information. The second our warning is issued, the second we have lives in danger, we'll fire up the stream. We're going to be here on 5newsonline.com. We're always on 5+ anytime we're on 5 News, okay? So if you want to just be prepared ahead of the storm, go ahead and download that app on your phone, on your Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, whatever you use. You can find us anywhere. Make sure those phones are charged, just in case we get some power outages. Perhaps you get a power outage and you still want to be tuned in. You can find us on those streaming services there as well. All right, first tornado warning of the day. The question is how many more are set to arrive. We'll be here tracking those minute by minute for the team here at 5 News. We'll go ahead and sign us off of our stream. Meteorologist Skot Covert will be seeing y'all shortly, I imagine.